Quite often when I'm browsing through Facebook or any other social media sites, I read posts from fellow photographers who are depressed because they have lost interest in photography. They say they can't work up the enthusiasm to get out and about and take photographs because they've lost their fojo, and sometimes they do not pick up their camera for months, even years in some cases. But it's my thesis that it is perfectly okay to lose interest in photography. It's perfectly normal to lose interest in photography, and that buying new gear to try and instill some enthusiasm back in your life and get out and about with your camera probably isn't going to work. Now, photography is a pretty serious hobby for me. It's serious in the sense that it's kind of my main hobby, and it's turned into a sort of career as well. I earn a bit of money selling my photographs to tourist organisations and in print form, and I even make a little bit of money from a travel channel on YouTube, which came about specifically because I was out and about taking landscape photographs. As much as I love going out and taking photographs, there are stages in my life when I lose interest in it and when I can't work up the enthusiasm to get out and about and take photographs. The kind of photography I like the most is the really colourful kind, so that usually means sunrise or sunset, but there are periods of my life where I simply cannot be bothered to set the alarm for sunrise and go out and take sunrise photographs. In fact, this moment in my life right now is one where I really haven't been able to work up the enthusiasm to go out and take sunrise photographs, and I'm absolutely cool with that. Now, if photography is your hobby, then it should be something that you enjoy. So if you're scrolling through Instagram and your friends are out there killing it and uploading tons of exciting new images and you're not, so what? Now, sometimes that downswing, the period where we lose interest in stuff, lasts longer than the upswing, and that's perfectly cool too. These are just the natural cadences of life, and we should just learn to accept them and not beat ourselves up about it. I know that one of the most common ways that photographers try and get around this lack of interest in photography is by investing in a new camera or a new lens or tripod or whatever, this gear acquisition syndrome that we talk about with photographers, that they use the equipment to try and provoke themselves to go out and take photographs. And based on my experience personally and in having friends who take photographs too over many years, I don't think it works. Buying new gear is not going to scratch the itch. There's a photographer local to me who was really killing it on social media a few years back. Was clocking up a vast amount of followers on Instagram and going really great with it. And I noticed that his output sort of slowly started to trail off and off and off. He stopped posting to his Facebook page, he stopped posting to Instagram. Now bear in mind that this was a guy who had turned his hobby into a job, which is admittedly slightly different, but all the more serious when you consider what happened next, which is that he sold all of his photographic equipment, the camera, the lenses, everything, and he took up fishing. And now when I scroll through his Instagram feed, instead of there being photographs of landscapes or cityscapes or whatever, there's photographs of him out and about fishing with his kids and having a great old time. This is a guy who reconciled the fact that he had lost interest in photography, and he tried to rail against it for a little while, but in the end he realized that he had no interest in it, he accepted it, and he moved on. The whole of life is about cycles and changes. Even during the course of a day, for instance, you've got periods of the day when you're up for it and active, and periods of day such as at 3 o'clock in most people's lives where you've got no enthusiasm and you're feeling quite sluggish. And the problem is that social media has turned photography into one big competition. We get on this treadmill of uploading our photographs onto Instagram or Facebook, and then we feel obliged to compete with other people taking photographs for the eyeballs of the audience out there on the internet. It seems that we can only validate our photography by entering it into this social media competition and having other people judge it. And it has to be said that I think that this competitive side of photography, which came about through social media, is one of the big reasons why people lose interest in photography more often than perhaps they used to. So we daren't not upload to Instagram in case, shock horror, we lose followers. Imagine, oh my God, I stopped caring about how many followers I had on Instagram a long time ago. I love having them, don't get me wrong, but I sure as hell don't stress about building up some crazy big follow account for no apparent reason, perhaps so that I can get myself a new set of ND filters on the Never Never because I'm an ambassador for some photographic brand or other. It's just a whole lot of hard work for very little return, and I just can't be bothered with it. If you love doing something, then the outcome is utterly irrelevant, but it should be something that you are proud of, no matter how objectively or unobjectively good or bad it is. So learning to accept that there's this cyclical nature to our interests, as there is in the rest of our lives, is a great way to give these interests some breathing space. And maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. It doesn't matter, it's not worth beating yourself up about. So if you've been stressing about it and you find like it's a bit of a grind and you have to get your camera out and set the alarm out and go out and take photographs, then I say don't. Give yourself a break. Leave the camera on the shelf, give yourself some breathing room, and you might find that your interest becomes renewed naturally. Stop stressing about your Instagram followers, stop stressing about your Facebook page likes, and start enjoying photography. So that's it, guys. It's okay to lose interest in photography. Don't stress too much about it. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, you know the drill, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.